Welcome back, guys, to episode 25 of The Daily Entrepreneur. I'm Jack. I'm here with James and Josh. We're the School of Hard Knocks. We're blessed to have Malin White joining us on the show today. And yeah, so let's roll into our first topic. Chief Twit, Elon Musk, recently came out saying that he does not want to be CEO of Twitter, Tesla, and SpaceX. I'm sure he's just racked up so much on his plate with this new Twitter acquisition. What do you guys think about this statement?
Yeah, I think, it just kind of goes to show, the biggest thing about Elon right now is he just wants to kind of like oversee the operations, in my opinion. There's no reason for him to like be doing all the negotiations and all that type of stuff. He's got now a little conglomerate of like these like tech companies and obviously Tesla, which is I still think is like biggest prized possession as a company. He's got so many different things that he needs someone else to internally be making those decisions for him,
There's a big difference between being a CEO and a business owner. And you can't do what Elon's doing as a CEO. You're doing too many big things, and you just can't. You can't be the CEO of everything. You can oversee it and spend more time on certain businesses at any given time, but you just can't do it. Yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing with Elon is that, now that he's acquired these massive companies, that basically he could still be making the decisions, but he just needs like someone in a placeholder to be able to run all the companies. All right, yeah. So, mainly if I had to guess, he's really just going to hire somebody to take his day-to-day operations role of Twitter, SpaceX, Tesla, exactly. But he's ultimately going to be still making all the decisions on innovation, product. He's pretty much famous for saying, though, I'm not a businessman, I'm an engineer. Everybody thinks because I'm the richest man in the world and I'm like the CEO of these major companies that he's this big business savant, when really he keeps claiming that he's just an engineer, and that's really what he wants to be at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then like we were saying, I think his best play and what he'll end up doing is putting someone that like he sees himself in, that he can like fully trust to really go make those, like you said, day-to-day operations, make those decisions. He'll still oversee, and obviously I'm sure he'll be part of a lot of big shifts, whether it's in the Twitter platform or just manufacturing production for Tesla in general. But I think it's definitely I completely understand.
One last thing I think we should consider here is what's Elon's life goal? It's not being the CEO of Twitter. Mm-hmm. It's sending people to Mars, putting people on Mars. Right. Yeah. It's simple as that.
I forgot about SpaceX. Exactly. Like I wasn't even thinking about SpaceX. That's ridiculous, bro.
Dude's running a rocket company.
Rockefeller, bro.
People were shocked that he was buying Twitter.
Yeah,
we have to remember that this has just been going on for so long that we forgot how wild it is that he actually was going to buy Twitter.
And then he did it. Yeah. And he's very busy now with the resignation of like half of the employees.
Yeah. It's up. I think it's up to 80% now. Like 80% of the company, when he originally bought it, like 88. I think it's like 85% is like gone.
So here's something I want to also mention is like people are like, oh my gosh, like he's cutting all these engineers. But if I'm thinking of this right, engineers are primarily, you want to keep adding engineers because you're adding things on and you need to keep having, things for innovation. But if the app is still good and, he can cut the size for where it is right now and just work with that, like I really don't think you need a team of 11,000 or how much got caught.
Yeah, you really just need like all the essential people. I think the reason he came out to say this was just because a lot of Tesla shareholders and investors, like a lot of the big whales that are really heavily invested into Tesla, are starting to really question his ability to be able to run all three of the things it's not even everything that he's doing. Like he still has Boring Company that he's a part of. Yeah. Probably does some other stuff as well that he's working on that nobody really knows about. He does Neuralink. So just having all those companies, but the Tesla, like you said, is his bread and butter. And so the investors are really concerned that like it's Elon, but is even Elon spreading himself too thin? So it'll be interesting to see the decisions in the coming weeks with that. But yeah.
So that brings us into, I guess, our next topic, which is that, as you guys know, inflation is soaring right now and the holiday season's rolling in. So spending for everyone is up tremendously, right, during the season. 60% of Americans are actually living paycheck to paycheck right now. And what's even crazier is that 28% of people who are making over $200,000 are also living paycheck to paycheck. What are you guys kind of like thoughts on this? And just how, again, people making not just $100,000, but $200,000 are living paycheck to paycheck in today's world?
I just don't understand, to be quite honest. Because, I just feel like 200,000. Especially if you're single, if you have a family, you have a lot of expenses, maybe a different story. But if you're 200K and single and living paycheck to paycheck, I think you need to look at yourself in the mirror, really.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that would be the determiner of why people that are making a lot of money, even at like the six-figure range, are struggling paycheck to paycheck with like the current economy, has to probably honestly just come down to living standards. Like, what is their current standard of living? How much do they pay for their mortgage or their rent? Like, how many trips do they take? What's their food budget like? How many people do they provide for? And so that's really what it comes down to. I think it'd be interesting to look at the demographics of that. You're seeing a lot of big entrepreneurs or leaders in the business world come out and say, and even make content about, if you are, I thought Jeff Bezos was the latest one to say this the other day, that if you're thinking about making a big purchase in life, like you're going to buy a house or a car or do something drastic like that, to where it's like kind of a big life decision, that you should hold off on it until the economy kind of sorts itself out. That's kind of the recommendation right now. So.
Yeah, and another thing, like you're saying, a lot of it comes down to standards of living, but I think also like where you're located right now. So for example, like they did the statistics, right? Like if you live in, let's say like Los Angeles or New York City and you make $100,000 a year, if you live in a more kind of like tax-friendly, pro-business state, like let's just say Texas or Florida, you live in Austin or Dallas, you end up keeping about $15,000 to $18,000 more of that $100,000 when it comes out of taxes and how much you're spending for different things like in those states like California and New York. So you got to think though, it's really surprising to think that, someone making $200,000 is living paycheck to paycheck, but at the end of the day, think about it, the cost of lumber, the cost of chicken, the cost of beef, your gas, all of this is up, like all those everyday needs, whether it's for nutrition or whatever, is up at least 20-30% right now. Gas, you're paying double, 3 times what you used to pay. So it's like, and if you're paying rent, it's skyrocketing in a lot of these major cities. So when it really comes down to it, $100,000 is not a lot of money.
What do we think that how this impacts small business? Because it's just like the small business owners, entrepreneurs, they're already working with their current finances to make ends meet within the business, but now their employees are struggling as well. So, I mean, really honestly,
the unfortunate part is prices just go up, because it's like you said, in order to make those ends meet, people need higher wages. Prices are going to have to go up. So then it just comes down to appealing to the consumer. Can you keep that customer base? Because everywhere you go now, look at Chick-fil-A. You're paying $2 on average more for a meal, like that chicken sandwich meal.
McDonald's large cups aren't $1 anymore.
I was reading up on Dippin' Dots, and they literally raised their price 3 times since 2021 though. Like from 2021 to now, they've raised their price literally 3 times. Wow. It's like how much more of that are we going to see? Because they said, dealing with production problems.
Did you say Dippin' Dots?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Right. Yeah. Back at all the baseball games.
Hey, can we talk about that? That was underrated snack. It's so good.
Oh, Dippin' Dots is legendary. And that, like the crazy part though is that like we've been talking recently about like all these big corporations laying people off. I feel like most of them have the money to be able to like afford even still keeping people on, whereas like something like small business, they do not have the resources to just be able to hang on to a full team and roll out the red carpet for everybody.
That was definitely one of the saddest things in 2019, where you just saw all these small businesses just like shut down. Yeah. Like you guys may have not, 2019, 2020, yeah. Right. And because like even in like Montclair, where we're from, like all those local businesses, a lot of them just got wiped out, just in like within Prince William County.
I see here on Guad, you're Guad in Austin, that Guad rent, bro, taxing people.
Like people going into these big grocery stores, everybody's looking for new alternatives, Everybody's looking for new alternatives. So, and then the one last thing I'll say is that in that article that I was reading as well, in the studies, that about 49 or 50% of people had to completely change their shopping habits from the last year. Which, again, it's not surprising.
So, it's crazy you say that, because what I'm reading on right now is that 37% of people are saying that they've made less money this last year, or they're in a worse financial state. But 74% of them are going to be spending more or the same amount of money this year, this holiday season. Yeah. And if you guys could take a guess at what the average consumer spends over the holidays.
$500.
2,000.
I was gonna say
Christmas.
Okay. So everything. Yeah. Honestly, probably $4,000.
Yeah,
it was about 1,500.
Oh, okay. Yeah, overshot. I'm thinking like family. Yeah. You're buying all the gifts. You're putting per consumer. Yeah, right, that makes more sense.
But so that's still a lot of money though. Yeah. You know, especially when people were living paycheck to paycheck, it's hard to spend money. Like holidays are tough, man.
Yeah.
So the paycheck to paycheck stuff, I was thinking about this the whole time, and you were talking about standard of living, and I think a lot of people just aren't taught the right things in terms of how to spend their money properly, and so they end up overspending, overconsuming. It's normalized with a lot of just, you know what I mean, entertainment, consuming, going out with friends, whether it's eating out, whether it's going to the clubs, whatever, and so you end up, a lot of people don't know how to properly save, invest, spend their money, and they're just blowing it, and then working, blow it all again, working, blow it, and it's like if you would have just taken a little bit of time, learn how to invest early on, then you wouldn't be running that, you know what I mean, that rat race so much.
Exactly. Yeah. People just don't know how to budget, especially because it's not taught in schools.
Well, you know
most part, for the most
honestly
part.
might be the greater problem here is that I feel like a lot of people do know how to budget. And if people are like, oh, okay, like how do I save for retirement? I feel like most people do understand what a 401k is or a Roth IRA. What it is discipline. People don't have the discipline to actually follow that plan, follow that guideline. You know, they just don't have it. I think that really is ultimately the underlying problem
Discipline
here.
does matter.
Yeah.
With like 8 different streaming platforms now, people are just paying for all of them. But yeah, I think that brings us on to. What do you
Honestly,
guys
I
think
actually brought that was my third, literally.
about? Just Christmas.
Yeah, holiday spending. But we kind of talked. I didn't know we
We're
kind of
gonna
got
get
into
that-
it.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's legendary. All right. Yeah. Malin, anything big in the music industry or the video media business going on lately?
I saw this today. Edgar Estevez, who started as an undocumented immigrant, just shot the music video for the intro song for the FIFA World Cup. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Is it for USA or was it for like the
No,
whole
for
thing,
FIFA.
Qatar?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah. It was like
legendary.
Nicki
Yeah.
Minaj, and I think she was singing in 3 different languages throughout it. So
That's wild.
yeah, super cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Neat opportunity.
That's a hell of something to have on your resume, man. You know,
And he started as an undocumented immigrant. That's the part, like, you know what I mean? He came here and just made it happen, you know what I mean? Got it for the fam, you know?
Literally just a huge success story. Yeah.
American dream.
Yeah, exactly. That's a hard act to follow, honestly. I filmed the promo video for the FIFA World Cup or like the major like music video. You
Hey,
know?
bro's gonna get the bag though. He's gonna get the bag.
Yeah.
So
Gotta bring it home.
Gotta
But,
respect it.
yeah, I think that wraps up our episode today. Malin, thanks so much for coming
Absolutely.
on, spending some time
Appreciate
with us.
y'all having me.
And but yeah, what's the quote of the day?
There's 2 types of people. There's 2 types of men in the world. There's 2 types of men in the world. The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't. And they're both right.
banger.
There you go.